All this week, the church is honoring three North American saints. Monday was the feast of St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. Yesterday, the feast day of St. John Neumann. And today is the feast of St. Andre Bessette. Joining us now to talk more about these three saints is Dr. Matthew Bunson, executive editor and the Washington bureau chief for EWTN News. Matthew, thank you so much for being with us. Let's start with Monday's feast of St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. What can you tell us about her?
Well, when we think of the towering figures in the history of American Catholic history, Elizabeth Ann Seton stands among the giants. When we think of Archbishop John Carroll, for example, the first bishop, she is right there with him. I say that for two reasons. One, she, in her lifetime, helped establish the great Catholic school system that went on to become almost a legend in Catholic history. She established one of the first of the great congregations of women in the United States. But she's also a role model for all of us today in the way that in her lifetime, she endured great losses and yet loved the church. Was a convert to the church from Episcopalianism and was a willing defender of the church through her simple holiness of life. And the gift of her life is something that we salute today.
And yesterday, the church honored St. John Neumann. He wasn't born in the U.S., but he immigrated here. Tell us more about him.
Well, that's right. He was born in what was then Bohemia, which would be today part of the Czech Republic. Called to the priesthood, he had hoped to be ordained in his native country, but instead was drawn to the missions and turned his eye to America, the United States in particular. And when he arrived, he was ordained and went out to become a great evangelist, a great missionary priest. It is said that he joked that the Niagara Falls was his baptismal font, because he wandered from German Catholic community to other communities across New York and into other Pennsylvania and other states. The other thing, too, about him is that he served for 8 years or so as the Bishop of Philadelphia. And building on the work of Elizabeth Ann Seton, he grew the Catholic schools there from about 1 to 200 by his untimely death in 1860 at only the age of 48. So John Neumann, or Neumann, is another one of those great figures who, much like Elizabeth Ann Seton, anticipated the phenomenal growth of the church in a time, again, of pretty severe anti-Catholicism when Catholics simply weren't welcome.
And quickly, let's talk about today, the feast day of St. Andre Bessette, more of a modern-day saint, I guess you could say. What can you tell us about him?
He died in 1937 at the age of 91. He was a lay brother of just a simple lay brother in Canada, with the Congregation of the Holy Cross. It was said that when he was drawn to the religious life, his pastor sent him to the congregation with the simple word, "I am sending you a saint." He was a porter for 40 years, but he's especially known for his devotion and love to St. Joseph. And it was through his work and inspiration that the magnificent oratory of St. Joseph was built, what is today a basilica visited by millions of people. So all three of these saints, great saints of North America, tell us, teach us how to live holiness in our own era, how to bring people together to touch lives. I think their message is something that we all need to hear, especially right now at a time of great political and social division.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Bunson, for coming on and sharing all of that with us. We appreciate it.
Good to be with you.